Hi, Becca C. Smith here, and today we're talking about screenwriting basics. Where do you even start? So these are the things that I do when writing a screenplay. First and foremost is formatting. So this is just the basic, what it should look like. It should be 12-point Courier font. It should be approximately 90 to 120 pages. Yes, some screenplays go longer, but if you're writing your first screenplay, or if you're trying to get your screenplays out there, whether in contests or showing them to producers, keep it down to that number. And usually if you look at any contest, like the big ones, like Nicholl Fellowship in Austin, they even say keep it 90 to 120 pages. The program I use is Final Draft. There are plenty of other screenwriting programs out there. Final Draft is easy, it works, I love it. I've been using it for 25 years. Oh, old. You can probably get all these basics from any book on screenwriting. So I'm just going to give you a list. I'm going to put it down below so you can have references to it anytime. You don't have to rewind the video. Screenplays are always written in present tense. 1 page of script equals 1 minute of screen time. When introducing a character, the name must be in caps. This can also apply to props. And a lot of times you'll notice in shooting scripts that camera shots and just things they want emphasized are also in caps. I do not recommend this. I just recommend doing characters and possibly props, but if you can limit it to characters, it's probably for the best. Parentheticals. Try not to use them. Readers get annoyed by them. Just use them sparingly. I used to abuse them in the past. I don't so much anymore. But because a lot of my work I have a sarcastic sense of humor, sometimes I'm not sure if the reader is going to read the sarcasm. So I will put in parentheses if its line is sarcastic. It's not necessary, but sometimes I feel like, they might not get that this is a joke if I don't put that. Also, a beat. If you want like a pause in between a line, like they say their first line and then you want them to finish their line after a beat, you can put in parenthetical beat. But otherwise, just try and steer clear of them. The difference between VO, voiceover, OS, off-screen, and OC, off-camera. Voiceover is narration, like Shawshank Redemption, when you have Morgan Freeman narrating, that is voiceover, so you would put a VO next to every time Morgan Freeman narrates. OS is off-screen, which means that the character is in the scene, but you do not see them on camera, and they're speaking off-screen. So again, you would put the OS next to the character name. And off-camera is pretty much the same thing, but is mainly used in for-camera, like sitcoms type things. So if you're writing a feature, I would suggest using OS for off-screen. And those are as much of formatting as you really need to get started. Courier, present tense, no parentheticals, all caps when introducing characters, VO, OS, and OC. Next is my favorite, story structure. Now this is very important with screenplays. It has to be structured. Of course there are exceptions, but we're just talking about a standard screenplay. So there are books that will tell you how to structure, outline, things like that. Whatever works for you is great. I always recommend Sid Field because he's just straightforward. So we're going to kind of go off of that. Here's basic structure. Again, I will leave it down below if you want to make reference to it, see what I'm talking about. The first 30 pages are your setup. The next 60 pages is Act 2, which includes your climax. And then the last 30 pages is your resolution. Now that's about a 90-page script. So the important thing is that really what you can expand is your second act. It's very rare that you're going to add more to your first act or your third act when it's a 120-page script. Only because your setup and resolution have to be tight. So if you are going to make a slightly longer script, it's really going to be your middle that is going to be the enlarged part. But now we're going to get more specific. So your inciting incident should be on page 10 to 18. Your plot point 1 should be around page 25 to 27. Your climax should be somewhere in the middle, so depending on how long your screenplay, it should be somewhere around page 50 to 60. Your plot point 2 should be around page 70 to 80. So now you know the structure. I've given you page counts. This is where everything goes. What does that mean? How do you apply this to your idea? One thing that I do, and you might want to try, is first figure out the genre, if it's comedy, action, and then think of a movie that is the same genre. So let's say you're writing a comedy adventure, Princess Bride. So then what I would do is I would watch Princess Bride, and then I would mark where each of these points takes place, just to see your structure. Now, just to give you a hint, William Goldman, rest in peace, was seriously one of the best screenwriters of all time, and authors of books as well, because he wrote Princess Bride, the book, and the screenplay. But he was a master of structure, and you'll see what I mean, because I'm going to break down Princess Bride for you guys, and you're going to see like how dead on he was with every single point. The inciting incident in Princess Bride is when Princess Buttercup gets kidnapped. This happens on page 10, exactly as it should in screenplay structure. Next is plot point 1, and this is when Wesley finally meets up with Vizzini and wins Buttercup back. That is the turning point. Now Wesley and Buttercup are together, and that happens on minute 27. So it would be approximately page 27, which is 25 to 27, where your first plot point should be. I'm telling you, William Goldman was amazing. As they're rolling down the hill, as you wish, that is completes your setup and is around minute 30, page 30, boom, setup, a dip. So climax and the midpoint is when Princess Buttercup makes the deal with Prince Humperdinck. I will marry you if you spare Wesley's life. But it's also, because we've got two storylines going on, when Wesley notices the six-fingered man. This all happens within 3 minutes of each other. And this ends around minute 50, which is page 50, which is exactly in the middle of the script. Then you've got plot point number 2, when Wesley dies. And then Fezzik and Inigo bring him to Miracle Max and bring him back to life. That is plot point 2, and that happens on minute 74, which is page 74, which, like I said, 70 to 80 is the plot point 2, so again. And then the last 30 minutes is the resolution. I'm telling you, Princess Bride is the perfect script. All you need to do is find a movie that is the same genre as your story, see where they plugged in each of those plot points, and then do it with yours. And these are where your plot points are going to be. So in terms of outlining, it's much easier because then you can build to these moments. So you know Buttercup gets taken on page 10. So what do we need to happen to get to that point? So that can help in your outlining. But your outlining process is going to be your own. I mean, that's how I outline, but as long as you have these points on when they're supposed to happen, your script will be in perfect structure. And lastly, I'm just gonna show you what should a screenplay page look like. You need to have a balance between dialogue and action. You don't want to have too much of either on your page. Even if it's an action script, even if it's a heavy dialogued script, you do not want to have pages and pages of just dialogue or just action. I mean, think about it. When two people are talking, they're not talking like this. They're using their hands, they're picking things up, they're doing stuff. That all needs to be written into the script, even if it's just a line, to break up the dialogue. You do not want pages and pages of dialogue. And the same thing goes for action, especially action, because when you're a reader and you just see pages and pages of text, that is like a book, and this is not a book. This is a screenplay. It's a blueprint for something to be filmed. One of the best action writers of all time is James Cameron. Also, one of the best action directors of all time is James Cameron. I highly recommend you look at any one of his scripts. His action is written beautifully, concise. Action should always be concise in a screenplay. Like, again, you're not writing a novel. So here's an example of Aliens. This is the first page of Aliens. You see how he probably wanted to do all action because he's a professional and he knows what he's doing. He at least breaks it up with one line. And look, I'm going to scroll through Aliens and show you, look at the balance. Just take it in. Look at how he balances action and dialogue. There is never one page that is all dialogue or one page that is all action. Also, Princess Bride. Yet again, William Goldman, amazing writer. See how this is a more dialogue-heavy script, but see how he flips. He always balances it with action. And you can find almost any script online. Just Google it. That's how I found Aliens and Princess Bride. Princess Bride screenplay, and you can find it. It's also a good idea if you think of a movie that is the same genre as your story to just look at the script itself as well. Sometimes it's nicer watching the movie because then you can see how it actually carried on film. But check out the screenplay as well. That's about it. The rest is up to you. So good luck, and I hope this helps. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!